A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Spectrum. We are live on Radio 1 FM 90, which is broadcasting from the Central Building here in the heart of our city, Kampala. But we are also live on the website, www.radio1fm90.com. On that website, there's an icon with the word Listen Live. You click on that icon, you'll be able to listen to this radio station. We're also live on the different radio listening apps, which include TuneIn, Afro Mobile, Your TV channel, Radio Garden, and Stream or Freak. Those can be obtained from the Google Store of your smartphone. You download any of those, look for Radio 1 FM 90, and as long as you have an internet connection, you'll be able to listen to us. There's also another option. That's if you have a DSTV connection, you can look for audio channel 897. 897 on DSTV, that's the Radio 1 audio channel. You'll be able to listen to us throughout the day, as long as you have that subscription on DSTV running. Now, today we'll be getting an update on the planned censure of commissioners of Parliament. Now, we know MPs led by Ssekikubo have been in an exercise of collecting signatures aimed at removing from office 4 commissioners of Parliament. Now, after several weeks of collecting these signatures, which included moving to different parts of the country, engaging in what some people have called coercing colleagues, the team is ready to report back and to proceed also in Parliament on this particular issue. Now, we know their motion is based on the famous 1.7 billion shillings Parliamentary Commission Service Award, money which was shared out by 4 commissioners of Parliament. People have been asking questions around this entire exercise and wondering whether it is political witch hunt and what is motivating the exercise. Now, at the time of collection of these signatures, Honorable Ssekikubo was here in studio to explain the reasons, but also the entire process. Today, he's back with us to share with us what next and what they actually went through to achieve this milestone. But the bigger question is, will this motion be on the order paper? Will it be allocated space, given what we have heard from the corridors of Parliament? Good evening, the Honourable Ssekikubo, and thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Good evening, Ken, and thanks for inviting me here. And good evening to our dear listeners.
All right. It's almost, is it 2 months, 3 months from the time you started collecting signatures?
Well, probably 2.5 months there.
2.5 months.
Yeah, thereabout.
Doesn't this go in the records of Parliament as one of the longest process you've engaged in as far as collection of signatures is concerned to take a motion in the House?
Yeah, you're right, because I've been involved, as you're aware,
in a number of
other motions, like recalling of Parliament, the oil bills, the 10-point motion for the oil bills. But this particular one was much protracted, and the reasons are well understood by everybody.
Not really.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons why
issues are understandable and are distinguishable this time round, because we saw where we were going. Usually matters like this attract spontaneous reaction. Now, like this one of ours, it did from the start. But there between, there were the interruptions. You remember, the government chief whip came up with a position to NRM members of Parliament not to sign, that they wait for the guidance of the chairman of the party. And then we counteracted that. We countered it saying that, look, the president, both at the State of Nation address and at the budget speech to the nation, he spoke clearly about corruption. And he said that I've always been hearing rumors, but now I have evidence that there is corruption between Parliament and Ministry of Finance. And also when he came for the budget, he said, okay, those things, don't involve me. You go with I'm also involved with my other issues, fight against corruption. But those issues with commissioners, you go finish them. Don't involve me. And since then, as you're aware, the caucus has never sat for that matter. Now, that's how we proceeded. But there between, nobody can thought would get more than 20 signatures. Nobody thought would get more than 30 signatures. And why this time it was very strange, usually the speaker in the past would remain either laid back or neutral, I want to say. But this time round, we saw a different scenario, Ken. Because for us, as I stated then, and I still maintain, that our motion is against the 4 commissioners. Honorable Sirwany Solomon, Honorable Matthias Mpuga, Honorable Prosia Kampurira, and Honorable Esther Foychan. But each time we moved, we could see some direct intervention from the leadership of the House. And this was what took us this long. So those 2 engagements, whereby, as you are aware, the NRM rules the majority, and also the majority members of independents. Then also now the intervention of the leadership at Parliament. You know, you invite members, as members come, then they are taken away, they are called, they are dragged into the issue. So to me, those could be the reasons mainly. But members of Parliament were fed up with corruption. The fight against corruption is very, very vivid among members of Parliament. Not that members of Parliament don't understand the issues, they do understand issues very well. Not that they are not supportive, they are supportive very much. And I thank those colleagues, those who stood their ground, constituting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. It became more worse when we reached 93. That's when all guns came out blazing. But, and what I'm telling colleagues is that this is not a Ssekikubo victory. It's not a victory for those only who have signed the petition. It's the victory for the Parliament of Uganda, because our image is bad. It is the image that is you don't want to associate with. So the win is not only for the Parliament, but also for the people of Uganda.
What kind of win are you talking about?
Being able to secure this statement. Because you remember, at first, we had been seeking the Speaker's indulgence. You know, the Speaker, our Speaker has far wide powers, wide-ranging powers. So that even in her communication, she can accommodate a matter of public importance of this nature to be brought up, and a directive from the chair is made upon it. By this time round, we started from there. Then there was the issue, but you see, we are to the ministerial policy statement. Wait, when we finish, we shall find you space. And then after the ministerial policy statement, they said, look, we have the budget to pass. It has its timelines. Wait, after the budget, we shall allow you room to debate the question. And after 15th of May, Parliament was prorogued, was sent indefinitely on recess, meaning that opportunity was denied. But now, having collected the signatures, and I answered what you had earlier on echoed, having garnered the requisite signatures, the 176, we need an actual 176. But having got more than those minimum signatures, we issued the other day a notice to the Speaker through the Clerk of Parliament, and indeed the Clerk has written and given a copy to us, transmitting the same motion together with the evidence, together with the supporting signatures to the Speaker. Now the Speaker had 14 days the other day, but as I count now, she only has 12 days remaining on her hands, because she has even if the House was to go on recess, she has to convene Parliament within 14 days.
All right.
And also to answer you, this issue takes precedence. Our motion takes precedence on the order paper.
All right.
Before debating any other matter, it is the motion has to be debated first.
All right, and I would like to take you a little bit back. Earlier you said that one of the things that caused this motion to actually, the process to lag on for quite some time, was some peculiar interest of the Speaker. And the things you suggest she was doing that partly slowed the process. What exactly was she doing?
No. I don't want to say...
And also maybe if you can be clear, is it the she or the he?
I don't want to say the way you are now shifting.
I'm not shifting.
Yes, you are.
I want people to understand.
Yes, but you've been following issues.
I've been following
issues.
Honorable Ssekikubo, when I sit in this chair, I'm representing the listener out there, and therefore the interest is to actually give them adequate information as possible.
But the listeners have been ahead of us in these things. That's why it has galvanized Ugandans. They saw a crowd invading Parliament. They saw a crowd of so-called protesters with a petition against the land grabber, the murderer, Ssekikubo. You know, you can't even stop outside Parliament on a border. But a crowd of more than 100 people was allowed in, shouting with their bags, placards, took photos on the floor, on the steps of Parliament, entered the Parliament unchecked, walked up to the 5th floor where the Speaker sits. And my friend, that one, have you ever seen it anywhere? So in a way, and
the freedom to peacefully protest.
No, I support the right of citizens to petition Parliament. But in this particular manner, to do all kinds of insults to the lead petitioner, it isn't normal. It is not the usual thing, Kenneth.
Well, it wasn't directly on the issues of the signatures.
But of course, that was the time.
About how you were a land grabber.
How I'm a killer, how I'm with this and that. But that was the time we were in Gulu.
And those issues are likely to be investigated, not so.
That is the time we were in Gulu, Arua, Soroti, Lira, who are being now forced to come back. Of course, we didn't want to be drawn into that battle. We continued with our petition. People who stormed Parliament on Friday were given assurances, and indeed they came back even on Monday. You know, this is a special petition, it must be. Now, after Monday, they stayed around Kampala. Meanwhile, they were connecting them an appointment to State House. The following week, indeed, the same group stormed the State House. They were being paid for and accommodated around the Kampala hotels, around Lunguja there. We were at peace, they were doing this. But what I'm trying to show you is that shouldn't have been enough stopper for the motion not to continue, because that is to Ssekikubo as an individual.
And you have evidence.
And the motion, members who have signed it, it is bigger. It is for the Parliament. It is for the country. But I'm telling you, the moment you entangle those who are spearheading a matter or something like that, you know you are slowing down the progress.
All right. Honorable Ssekikubo, let me tell you this. From my experience of covering Parliament, I know how motions are treated. And some people have been actually talking about this issue, and even within the corridors of Parliament, some MPs have actually hinted about it, that it's something you're likely to do when the motion is tabled. It's likely to be amended because an argument has been made. There is no parliamentary commission without the Speaker. So the motion might be amended to include the Speaker of Parliament.
No, but I'm the mover of the motion.
But you can't sway the House
if
the MPs decide that the motion should be amended.
No, I'm the mover of the motion.
Yes, you are.
And I've shared with my colleagues our reasons and objectives and even the evidence we have for the motion.
And during the debate, members can contribute and even suggest amendments, not so?
They can, but you, the mover...
Isn't that your plan?
You, the mover, you must agree or concede to the amendment once moved. Someone cannot take over your motion because someone has come up with a very...
and given the animosity that you've just explained there, trying to link the Speaker to the things that happened against you, you're likely to celebrate when such an amendment is proposed.
Let me tell you this, and I want to go on record. There is no animosity. Those are occupational hazards.
Occupational hazards.
Occupational hazards. Because if you were to keep animosity, you won't have time for the present.
Well, we have seen so many things happening.
Whatever goes behind, you let it go. After all, it would be unrealistic.
All right.
For you to imagine that you would sail through, that you'd be met and received with flowers. No.
All right.
There are bumps along the way, here and there.
Okay.
But what must guide us is the bigger picture. Let me tell you, Ken, and probably listeners, even if Ssekikubo tomorrow was to fall by the wayside, there are members of parliament out there who are ready to push this motion to the end. So it doesn't mean that once Ssekikubo rises, it rises. Once he falls, it falls with him. No. I know this is a matter. Once you have more than 180 members, call it even 100 members who are determined, that is too good for the country.
All right.
It means not all is lost to the country.
So you have
there are members who shall rise up to the challenge.
So you have 100 and what signatures?
186.
186 signatures they're in, and at a later stage I'll ask you the possibility of you actually achieving your objective, which is having the commissioners leave Parliament. How many signatures will be needed at the time of voting in the House? But now let's look at the process of getting this motion on the order paper. You say the Speaker has far-reaching powers, and I agree with you within the rules. She can decide what goes on the order paper and what doesn't. But you also say once the clerk has communicated, this motion becomes a priority. But we're now hearing that actually Parliament is going to be having regional sittings, which means it might take some time for you to actually have this motion on the floor, because the business that is going to be handled by regional sittings mainly focuses on the issues in those particular regions. So when will your motion go on the floor?
Not at all. You see, as I stated from the outset, the Speaker has wide-ranging powers on the floor of Parliament, particularly in her communications. You know, we have the first item, communication from the chair. And you can stand to seek her willingness or his willingness, the indulgence to allow a certain matter to be heard or debated. But now, once that one failed, then our last resort was to go via the rules. Our last resort was to go via the rules. And the rules provide that once you get the other minimum, that's the qualification. It is no longer up to the Speaker anymore. It isn't in her wide-ranging discretion that she has or she has not. She allows or she denies. No. Now this is a different process. It's another vehicle altogether. The motion is being carried on the floor of Parliament via the strength of the requisite minimum number of signatures.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, under Rule 110, you find that the Speaker, that once you file a notice with the clerk shall within 24 hours transmit the same or deliver the same petition to the Speaker. And the Speaker has 14 days within which to place the matter on the order paper. And once it is placed on the order paper, it shall be the first item on the order paper to be disposed of.
All right. So there's a possibility even these regional sittings, this motion might be on the order paper. Is that what you're saying?
No, since, look, we lodged our petition on 5th. Now, 5th add 14 days. It should be around 19th. And the regional sittings are far ahead of that.
28th, 29th?
Exactly. But ours shall be within today. Yes, the other day was 5th. Today is 7th. If you add it to be by 19th, and if I may look at your calendar, 19th is just the other week.
Yes, it is.
Yes. And therefore, this is the time within which the Speaker has to place the matter on the order paper.
All right. Let's refresh the minds of the listeners. Why do you want these commissioners gone? What's the problem?
Of course, really, this matter started from your domain, you, the Fourth Estate, and the social media. We came to know that our commissioners of parliament, Honorable Matthias Mpuga, Honorable Solomon Sirwanyi, Honorable Prosa Kampuria, and Honorable Esther Foyechan, shared amongst themselves the 1.7 billion shillings. Honorable Matthias Mpuga took 500 million. And the rest of the commissioners I've mentioned took 400 million each.
It's now confirmed. It's now confirmed they received the money.
Yes, okay. They've also conceded. They've also confirmed to that. We have the evidence. We've attached on our motion. So indeed, they even themselves, on various occasions, they've been always coming up. Indeed, to confirm. So that is not the issue. Now the issue was they got it under the guise of service award. And we say service award is alien in our laws. It's not provided for. Then they wanted to put it, to fix it under ex gratia. Again, ex gratia, you can't talk of ex gratia when you're still working, when you're still earning. No, you can't go under the cover of ex gratia.
All right.
And we all know the laws governing the former leaders who are entitled, they are listed. But the commissioners of parliament are not among those listed. We have seen past commissioners. These are not the first commissioners. And Matthias Mpuga is not the first leader of opposition. No, there have been other leaders of opposition prior to his ascendancy in 2021. There have been other commissioners prior, these ones under the 11th Parliament. So we take it from there that our audit trail is looking at the 1.7 billion. That's where we started from. Number two, we looked at the profligacy of commissioners, the way they are spending money, the way they are siphoning money. And this is not their personal money, it is the Parliamentary Commission money. It is a bottomless pit which must be plugged henceforth. And it is from there, therefore, that we sought the signatures of members to have this. We first want initially, our initial request was, can we have this matter debated? Because we look ugly. We look ugly as parliament. You know, the social media, you remember those parliamentary exhibitions? They left us looking very bad.
And I want to put it to you, yes, that the parliamentary exhibition did expose so many things.
Yes.
The money you're talking about, 1.7 billion, is not as huge as compared to the money that was tagged on the speaker, to the extent that she's even sanctioned. Which one of the two actually puts Parliament in a bad image than you having your speaker sanctioned? Why haven't you taken action against the speaker herself?
No. You see, you have to start somewhere.
Okay.
The opposite would be despondency. Say that, Custody wrote, it doesn't affect me, I'm not involved, I'm not touched. But you can't be a crusader for everything. Get what you can start with. As you walk to Parliament, Ken, it's not the Parliament you used to walk to. You must walk through roadblocks. Meaning that the walk to Parliament is now a blockaded path. You can't just go because of corruption. The country is up in arms. The youth are angered. And for us to leave everything to God, we said no. The president has taken his stand on corruption, against corruption. He has come out. And we, Parliament, you see, the struggle begins where you are. And where we are is where we thought we can start with.
All right.
If anybody else came up with another motion or his other issues, it is theirs. But I, who has gone through this, I think we can go and have our commissioners, and this we must do very urgently, so that we can have a new lease of life for members. We can walk in a free environment at Parliament.
All right. Not
protected by the army, by the military wares, by police, by roadblocks. That can't be a free house for people to enjoy.
All right. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90 is that time when we go for a short break. But when we return, there have been accusations that Honorable Ssekikubo has been coercing, has been using different mechanisms and methods to actually push MPs to sign these signatures, including inciting the voters. There's one particular member who I think was the person who, one would say, brought this milestone, was the person whose signature was missing, some sort of a climax to the number that they wanted. We'll be hearing from her. I have a clip that I will play, and you hear exactly what she had to say. Stay tuned to Radio 1 FM 90, but keep your comments coming via WhatsApp line, which is 0703 090 090. Spectrum continues after this break. Well, thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum, live on Radio 1 FM 90. My guest this evening, the Honorable Theodore Ssekikubo, Luemiaga County MP. He's the lead petitioner in a petition that seeks to remove from Parliament, to remove from office 4 commissioners of Parliament. Well, I'm saying it, removal from Parliament. Some people are wondering, so if you remove them from the Parliamentary Commission, does it mean they still retain their seats as MPs? Because some people have been saying they will be damaged goods, not fit enough to represent their constituencies. But that's another issue that we will be discussing, the implications of having them actually removed. Honorable Theodore Ssekikubo says they have collected enough signatures, 186, and they have already submitted to the clerk the motion, and the Speaker has 12 days, counting from the day they handed in the petition, to actually put this motion on the order paper so that it can be discussed and decided upon. Well, Honorable Ssekikubo, before we went for a break, actually, I told you that there have been claims that you coerced members, threatened members, to the extent that some came looking for you because back in the constituencies, they were facing fire, which was actually ignited for you. One of the particular areas is Bunyoro, where you went at a certain rally and you were actually blocked from speaking. But the message you left there left people incited. One of the members actually stepped forward to come and sign, apparently because of the fire. Why have you been, knocking your colleagues here and there, using coercive means, force to get the signatures? And some people have actually said some of these members are likely to speak out on the floor of the House, which might have some signatures actually affected, although I know the rules do not allow any member who has signed, but the credibility of the motion.
Now let me assure you about this. There is nobody, no member of Parliament being coerced. If indeed you are talking about coercion, there are others with superior means who could have coerced members into not signing. But for us, it was an issue of persuasion. Members reading through the motion and asking, is this the Parliament we want to belong to? Is this the Parliament you joined to participate in? Ours was persuasion rather than coercion. Look at it this way. There are many who didn't sign. There are many who didn't sign. Others were not present. Others were unable for one reason or the other. But I'm telling you, don't mention it that members signed out of coercion. How can you coerce a member when you are not responsible for their salary? When you are not responsible for voting and bringing them to Parliament? They talk to their people. They were voted by the people. Now, what are you talking about? I can assure you all members freely. And I want you to tell me one member who has come up to say that he or she was coerced. Save for one incident where a member, for their own reasons, a member said that he didn't know he was signing a censure petition. And yet, on each page for that censure, there is a head note. On each page, there is a head note. And on the head note, you see the reasons the 4 commissioners are put there. And if a member says that he didn't read, he didn't understand what he or she was doing, would be most unfortunate.
All right. We have a couple of comments that are coming in, but what then do you think enabled you to actually accumulate all these signatures? Shall we say that there's a crusade in Parliament? People are actually tired of corruption because, like you rightly said, the parliamentary exhibition has brought into dispute the image of Parliament, and everybody is concerned that in Parliament there, you are not representing the people, but finding ways of actually meeting your needs, including taking from the taxpayer.
No. To me, what caused the success was the consensus of the minds. Members of Parliament, those who were saying, no, we don't need the petition, others who were saying, no, we need it, we needed it yesterday, they sat down and we all agreed. And the moment we agreed, signatures started pouring like water.
All right.
And I can tell you, I even have more signatures. I even got more signatures. And of course, I know the rules, the clerk may not allow in new and fresh signatures, but everyone is needed in Parliament.
All right.
Ken, it's not a question that people have won, the others have lost. No. We are together as members of Parliament. Even those who didn't sign for one reason or the other. You don't say we don't need you, because it is a process. It is a process, a continuous process.
All right.
One can join you initially, but others midway, and others stand with you up to the end. It is the level of when a member is persuaded and he's touching with the people. And to me, you are talking about us coercing members, but I think when the citizenry marched to Parliament, I think that was a telling moment. When over 100 youth were detained, arrested, and remanded in prisons, why must you cause the country to suffer that much? Why? Look at it that way. For members of Parliament, you would be very strong-hearted to say that those things happening outside Parliament do not matter to you.
All right.
And I think that's why they formed it in their mind to sign the petition.
All right, let's listen to that clip from one honorable member, the one who actually signed to make, is it 186 signatures? Let's hear from her, why she signed and some of the issues she raises as she signed that particular petition.
As a law-abiding NRM member, I gave SEC time to consider the issue of commissioners as an urgent matter because it was tarnishing the image of our party. I've been waiting for the guidance until today to no avail. My voters in Wasindi have been on my neck, wondering why I have refused to sign the censure motion to an extent of threatening to decampaign me in the 2026 elections or even destroy my property. His Excellency the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has joined the war against corruption, as he rightly said in his State of the Nation address. Hence, I'm joining him in this fight, starting with the commissioners in Parliament. After the exhibition report, I expected the commissioners to resign to save Parliament from embarrassment, but alas, they never took the matter seriously, but went ahead to ignore the people's outcry and gave a deaf ear. If the commissioners had resigned and apologized to the nation, we would not have come this far. Unfortunately, in Africa, resignation for wrongdoing is never thought of. The nation is mourning, and most businesses in Upper Kampala are suffering because of the demonstrations and, of course, the deployment of armed forces. And the reason for this deployment is corruption in Parliament and the 1.7 billion service award. Based on the above reasons, therefore, I wish to inform you that I've actually signed to remove the 4 commissioners to put the nation at peace with us, to bring sanity in the commission and dignity of Parliament. I feel this is the right thing to do for God and my country. Dr. Sime Florence Akiki, woman member of Parliament, Masin District.
All right, the voice there of the Honorable Florence Asimwe, doctor, explaining why she signed. Honorable Ssekikubo.
And have you listened? Have you listened to her testimony?
Yes, I've listened. One particular issue I want to single out. Voters were on her neck.
Yes. No, in fact, she's emphasizing 2 issues. Her interaction with the voters. The voters were demanding of her to sign. And she said she wanted to be at peace with the country. Because of the embarrassing situation, the commissioners had dragged down Parliament. Number 2, she's talking about joining her chairperson of the party and the president in the fight against corruption. I think those are the 2 distinguishing issues that you may have. And she did not mention at all anywhere that it is the Sekikubos of this world. On the contrary, it should be you, the exhibitors, you members of the Fourth Estate who captured the exhibitions and put it up for everybody to see. It is the civil society organizations. It is the consciousness of the people, of the Ugandans, that is demanding questions and much as possible about accountability.
And of course, this brings in the role of the voter to hold an MP accountable. Do you see this galvanizing members of the public, the voter, to actually ask questions? There are some people who have been actually saying that most of the MPs who have not appended their signature here are likely to face it rough in the next elections.
It depends. You see, you can't generalize.
Would you tell the voters to actually do that?
No, let me tell you. A week in politics is too long a period.
Okay.
Look. We are now in August. Who tells you maybe by the end of the year, a lot other more bigger events and things would arise to cover this up? And what I want to assure you is that it depends on the members of parliament. But if you were to ask me, members of parliament must be held accountable by the people who send them to parliament. Members of parliament must do good. Ken, and I've been, in my interaction with colleagues, I want to tell this to you. I've been open to them that what I know, you know. And what they know, I know. So what is the problem with them appending their signatures? At a time when the country is bleeding, at a time when members of the public are saying enough is enough, and at a time when each and every corner of this country, people are alert, people are following. Now, it is those pressures from the people who represent. You know, it used to be a dormant relationship that you get voted, after your fourth year, you go back to people. But now they are following this live streaming. People in the deep villages there, they are watching parliament debating. They are watching the house. They are watching the developments in the country. So people are informed. Don't try to use me as an excuse. People now are more informed. They know the goings on. They are only unlucky that they are not in parliament themselves, but they are able to follow the developments and the goings on in parliament. And to me, and for them, they are your voters. For them, they are the people you represent. But they see what you are doing and how you are doing. And should they feel strongly that you've let them down, who knows the outcome? Who knows their feeling towards you? Who knows?
All right.
So it depends.
All right. Very critical, Honorable Ssekikubo. Getting this motion on the floor, you said it is a must. It will be on the order paper and on the floor. But getting your objectives will be another thing, because they will be voting to actually get the numbers required to have these commissioners removed from office. What are we looking at?
Well, we are looking at a half.
Half of parliament.
Of members of parliament. And once you get the 529, divide by 2, you can see about 265. Yes.
529 divided by 2.
Yes.
You'll get 264.
Put it 265.
264 minus 186, assuming that all these members sign, you need an extra 70. You need an extra 79 members to support your motion.
Ken, you are one of the brilliant stars while you are covering parliament. And now once you get your calculator, you start putting it, pressing your buttons. Ken, once the matter is brought on the floor of parliament, another regime takes over. It depends on how pertinent the motion is. In fact, for us, we are not looking at 165. We are looking at 300. Oh, it would be. I don't want to say that I know. It would be overwhelming. And I'm sure about that. Because once we've ranged our issues, members always want to stand and be counted. You must stand and be counted on such matters of great public importance. Yes, and you had the IGG in her report. She put it clearly that 10 trillion is lost every year, in every financial year, to corruption in Uganda. 10 trillion shillings. Now, we had a budget of 52, and the 10 trillion being lost, and that is what can be seen. But how about how much more go unnoticed?
And even out of the 52 trillion, some of your colleagues also want to take a certain percentage.
No. Now you are hitting me below the belts. But now for me, I'm now looking, I'm putting it in the perspective of the fight against corruption in this country.
All right.
So every member of parliament, even those who are being accused, would do justice to this country.
All right.
By voting against corruption.
All right, let's hear from the listener. We begin with a comment from Benon Fred Twinamasko, who says, good evening, Kenneth. How is Honorable Ssekikubo and colleagues going to isolate the Speaker, Anita Among, given that she is the one who chaired the meeting and is a commissioner by default? How will the monkey decide the case of the bush? That's a comment there from Mr. Benon Fred Twinamasko, who wonders how you're likely to play that matter out. Well, we have another comment coming in from a listener here who says, good evening, moderator. Thanks for hosting the guest. Kindly ask your Honorable, who is the head of the Parliamentary Commission. Why is he not involving the Speaker directly into this matter? That's a Drakumani from Arua. He says, tell Honorable that they are no longer honorables. They are now horrible members, very corrupt, deal makers, and patriotic, scandalous, self-centered, insensitive, and unapologetic. The good thing is that they are making money for us. Time will come, we shall eat that money. This time, voting pattern will not be the same. We are going to eat their money and vote majority of them out. We are tired of losing everything to the looters. That's Drakumani listening in from Arua there. We have another comment coming from Pasi Mulamba. Pasi Mulamba writes in and says, gallant goat, Theodore Ssekikubo. Hep, hoye. Thank you so much for standing up to fight this corruption in Parliament. The Parliament of Uganda now is grim, full matter, decayed, sludge, unclean and shabby. Ugandans need a new brand of parliament. Theodore Ssekikubo, keep it up. That is Pasi Malamba there with that comment. Then we have another comment coming in, Hello Radio 1. I would want to thank Honorable Ssekikubo for the fight against corruption and securing the required signatures to cause debate. That's done in Soroti. So even if the motion does not cause the censure of the 4 parliamentary commissioners, Honorable Ssekikubo has made history in anchoring parliament, that even if you are an MP, the law can catch up with you. That's a comment there from Dan, who is listening in from Soroti. Another one, Amo Martin, listening in from Mbale. I am surprised that every senior MP does not know that the censure motion was dead on arrival at the clerk's desk. My prayer is that Right Honourable Speaker organizes its burial within the 14 days and gives the chief mourner, Honorable Ssekikubo, enough time to talk all the good things about the dead motion. Next time, you should not threaten and coerce your colleagues to sign censure motions. That's a comment there from Amo Martin. Then we have another comment. Good evening, Kenneth. Information in corridors suggests that the motion may knock dead end because Queen Mother is part of the bonanza. Therefore, it is alleged that once the commissioners are done, there is a possibility that also the Queen Mother will be fetched. Therefore, chances of succeeding are 50-50. Maso Kulutimbe, watch the space. That's George listening in from Bunga. He says, Kenneth, you can't, let's not reason like a toddler. You can't coerce a mature person of honorable to be to sign a motion, thus bending law. That's George listening in from Bonga. He suggests here that I'm biased, that the honorable clip I played, there's nowhere the honorable member mentioned that she was coerced. But what I was actually telling you, there are members who have actually said that they were being coerced, and Honorable Ssekikubo, I'm sure, has heard about that. Then we have another comment here. Honorable Ssekikubo has a personal problem with Honorable Mpuga. Very sorry. That's Mutebi Moses listening in from Ginger. Then we have another comment. Emmanuel writes in and says, polite reminder, steadfast and humble. That's Honorable Ssekikubo for you. Emma in Namasuba. Then Benon Fred Finamasko makes a rejoinder. On the other hand, why didn't Honorable Ssekikubo go for the speaker on grounds of having been sanctioned by the US and the UK that she deflated on grounds of the Anti-Homosexuality Act? Honorable Ssekikubo, that's the feedback coming in from the listeners very quickly. We're also running out of time. If you can respond to some of this and also make your closing remarks.
Thank you once again, and I would like to thank all callers. But I'm happy, I'm delighted to hear the ancestor of Hebland, Mr. Percy Mulamba.
Percy Mulamba.
Yes, Percy, sorry, I beg your pardon. Percy was our speaker at the University Hall.
Oh.
Yes, at the SCR. So I'm happy to hear about you, Percy. And Heb, I wish you all the best. And I thank for the compliments. Because really, there are people who have seen me from those formative stages. And Percy is one of them. So I'm proud to hear his voice, and he's always alert. And I know one day, Mr. Mulamba, someday, one day I hope, really, because he had all it takes. But now, for the quick issues about the speaker, people have talked about the speaker. Benon, Fred, Druckmann, talking about the speaker. I think for us, Ken, we started on our audit trail of 1.7 billion. And the 1.7 billion was shared amongst the four. The speaker did not take a shilling. I know there are issues that could bring him into bad light. But for us, you can't touch everything. You must start and you must proceed with what you can start and end with. So for us, the trail leads us to the four. And that's why we are singling out the four to be held accountable. And I think for one to say that Parliament has degenerated into deal makers, thieves, etc., probably that's the feeling of people. And to me, I must boldly tell you, success is what we have covered. And this success is not the success for the petitioners who appended their signatures, Ken. Because initially, why didn't the speaker allow room to debate these matters when they came up? So having these matters only debated, because what happens as you talk about the 265 and that is the final outcome. But also to say, wait a minute, let us debate this. Let us look at this. We look ugly. Let us have this matter debated. Because wherever we go, as we walk on the streets, they call us thieves. Thieves are there, MPs are thieves, MPs are dishonorable. But please, I think for every system, there must be mechanisms that can sanitize the situations in those systems, in those organizations, once things go bad. Dean from Sorority, I want to associate myself with this submission, but for one, Martin, to say that everything is dead, this matter is not dead. I've never been hopeful as I am tonight that this is the matter that will have its way and will achieve the objectives. And those saying that the Queen Mother is 50-50, so you can't have it, George, you are right, we never coerced anybody. How can you coerce a colleague? A colleague will just walk away. And you also don't want to look bad. Because there is life after this motion. Ken, there is much life ahead of us after this motion. So this motion can't make you hurt your colleagues. And even when we feel we've hurt others, we have always had room and time to say we are sorry here and there. But if that was the impression, never. It's not true. It's the people who are making these demands. Now, to say that we should have gone for the speaker, the speaker was sanctioned by the US. Well, that is the US issues. Why must you involve members of parliament? Except where their issues tally with the expectations of Ugandans. Yes, if there is the consensus on corruption, that one must stand together. But you also know that as we began this motion, there were other parallel investigations commissioned and conducted in the country on the orders of the president. You remember there was the Foreign Affairs. You remember there was the UK High Commission, the Attorney General. We are all compiling a report about the speaker. You remember the IGG, the Auditor General. Those are having their parallel investigations. And the way I know it, the moment you jump in Now the president will say, now look, this parliament interfered in my investigations. We do not want to be blamed.
All right.
Let those who started theirs end with it. But where we have consensus on the minimum, the minimum standard is we must say no to corruption.
Okay.
Whether the president, whether the IGG, Foreign Affairs, or even the American the American embassy, if they are looking at accountability and transparency at Parliament, they're welcomed. And I think, to me, there are those issues that cut across. And once they do, I'm happy that we are on the same page with those crusaders, with those wishing well for the country, with those who are every day fighting corruption, including you, the members of the Fourth Estate, the civil society organizations, and the wider population of Uganda.
Your closing remarks, Honorable Theodore.
My closing remarks, I'm happy to say thank you to members of Parliament, those, holding, Ken, as I started, it wasn't easy. I, even myself, it wasn't a question of jumping in and you say...
You are not sure of yourself.
No, I was, but I'm saying I knew the road would be difficult.
All right.
But we were so selective. The rules we used, we knew we were going to use Rule 110. 110 has no time limit.
All right.
If we had set ourselves within 3 weeks, probably this motion would have collapsed. I thank those who signed and even those who never signed, because we must have hope for the country.
All right.
The country must be bigger than all of us.
All right. Good luck, Honorable Theodore Ssekikubo, in your endeavors, and we will be following closely to see what will happen, especially when this motion hits the floor of the House. Well, listeners...
And tell people that it has to come within the remaining 12 days.
All right. That's your
12
wish.
days.
That's your wish.
No, those are the rules.
Those are the rules.
Those are the rules.
But the rules have the manager, and we'll be waiting to see how they will be applied. Well, I've been your host, Kenneth Lukwago Anderson, thanking you, dear listeners, for not only tuning in, but also contributing to this discussion. Let me also thank the Honorable Theodore Ssekikubo for sparing time to come back and report to you on what is transpiring as far as this motion is concerned. Tomorrow, same time, another topic. Stay tuned, Radio 1 FM 90. The news in English is up next with Miss Josephine Dagano. Thereafter, we'll have the Soul Train with BB Jr.